situation. I digress. More police stations are calling out the Prime Minister. So this time it's in BC, Surrey, as saying, hey, Justin Trudeau, the gun crime has been worse than ever, thanks to you. MPs are targeting X and censorship, and they want to kill it. And even there's documents that have been released, and this is where we're going to start. There have been documents released, and the documents are list a Canadian MP who is involved in all of this, and that's pretty wild. So the plan, if Harris wins, is to kill X, kill Elon Musk's free speech platform, because it's very inconvenient for all of their diabolical plans and such. Joe Rogan will have Donald Trump on Friday, and so that's very interesting. And so there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we have to start with the kill Musk's Twitter, kill X. So Aka says, this is from Kamala's advisors, kill Musk's Twitter, advertising focus, trigger EU and UK regulatory action, progress towards change in the USA, and support for Star. I don't know what Star is, but I'm sure it's not good. Here's Elon Musk, and he's responding to this. The document drop is here, and it has to do with Keir Starmer. British advisors to Kamala Harris hope to kill Musk's Twitter, but that's the plan if Kamala wins as well, right? And so in response to all of these documents, which we'll go through in a minute, Musk says this is war. And I don't think he's wrong. I don't think he's incorrect. And he spent a lot of money on Twitter, so you'd think he'd want to, protect it. If Twitter fails, that would be less than ideal, right? Tamara Lich is saying, what's the Canadian connection in this? Actually, Paul says, why is a Canadian NDP member of parliament involved in this? And what, if any, is the connection to Ottawa's larger involvement? Do powerful forces in Ottawa also want to kill Musk's Twitter? And Tamara Lich says, excellent question. Hey, Andy Lee, do you have any info on this? So this is part of the data drop, and you can see Peter Julian, and he's an MP from the Canadian House of Commons, and he was checked in on June 18th of this year to this conference that is part of this data drop. And so this is the data drop here. Exclusive documents working with Matt Taibbi. We report on CCDH. So this is Center for Countering Digital Hate. Documents showing the Labour Party's political front's objective is kill Musk's Twitter through advertising focus, meaning harass his advertisers. See internal documents provided by a whistleblower. And so internal Center for Countering Digital Hate documents, that's where the drop is from, show their annual objective is to kill Musk's Twitter. So that's how you counter digital hate. I want to be clear, Matt Taibbi and these guys aren't involved with the digital hate people. They're just saying these are the people who are the documents that got leaked. Okay, that's to be clear, because I'm not sure it was clear. So this is their internal monthly planner. Their goal is to trigger regulatory action, although they are tax exempt and nonprofit. CCDH held a private conference with a slew of liberal groups organizing against Musk, including the Biden White House, Congressman Adam Schiff's office, Biden-Harris State Department officials, Canadian MP Peter Julian, and Media Matters for America. Center for Countering Digital Hate gets a lot of money from Hollywood. Staff say one of the donors is singer Selena Gomez, a client of Aline K. So that's interesting. Read the documents and more at Disinfocron Substack. So that's interesting. Very, very wild news. Canadian MPs are collaborating with foreign digital hate people to kill Musk's Twitter. Scary stuff. Andy Lee says the Canadian NDP parliamentarian retweeting election conspiracy theories shot out by accounts that also call Pierre Poilievre PP want to work with the CCDH to fight Elon Musk and police the internet. You can't make this up, folks. So Peter Julian's retweeting all of these, oh my gosh, the he, him, his nonsense, right? And Elon Musk, again, this is war. Yes, it is. Here is an explanation as to why they need to kill Elon Musk's Twitter. I've explained it before in a video with people responding to a ringing bell by standing up and sitting down. And then the point is, if you have somebody who says, I'm not going to do this nonsense, like you guys look like idiots, you know that, right? So they don't want somebody like that to spoil their whole big psyop that's going on, right? And people like me tend to be that spoiler, tend to be the person who says, I'm not doing that. You kidding me? There isn't a thing in the world that's going to make me do that. So the whole point, though, is to remove those people, to censor those people, because if you can't censor those people, then you can't get done what you want to get done as a tyrannical kind of post-apocalyptic NWO type leader, right? Here's this.
That the World Economic
Is it too fast? I'm worried it's too fast. No, it's not. Okay.
Forum has is that there are going to be people that will not comply. Their biggest fear is your fight for freedom. Their biggest fear is that you will make individual decisions for yourself and you will not follow their orders. So this digital stuff is absolutely key, because without it, they can't enforce anything. Without it, they can't mandate that you do something. Without it, they can't control your life. So I don't care if you're talking about carbon emissions and what's safe and effective as far as they are concerned. I don't care if they're talking about an experimental injection, a series of injections, whatever they may be, and what's safe and effective as far as they're concerned. This is not about those individual things. This is about the desire to control you from the outside in. And if they have a digital process whereby they can restrict your movement, your behavior, and your decisions with the click of a button, you are done. The biggest...
That's how they want to make it. And already it's very, very difficult to have any kind of impact on any kind of institution like a school board. And we'll look at some school board protests and school board meetings that are going on around Canada. The Best Damn Roofer shows up. And there's a woman who initially I thought she was yelling at the Best Damn Roofer. And I listened to the whole thing. I thought, wow, she's like really off the hook here. But by the end of it, I listened to what she was saying and I agreed with her. And I'll show you that as well. So Brett says, Elon Musk, why is my friend permanently suspended from this? Now, you have to understand that Elon Musk's X is still censored. I'm censored on X. And there are lots of people who share my story. They're censored too, right? And so we need to keep that in mind as well. X is not a paragon of virtue. And I don't necessarily think that it's Elon Musk doing it. I don't know if it's his CEO doing it or if it's the Canadian government, like at the behest of the Canadian government. Like they say, listen, this is illegal according to Canadian law. And then so X has to comply. I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know why the censorship is happening. There are a couple of reasons that are possibilities that I just laid out, but I don't know which ones to blame for real. So the jury's out on that. But Brett says, hey, Elon Musk, why is my friend permanently suspended for this? He definitely didn't do anything against Canadian law. You should know better than anyone that those pornographic books shouldn't be in schools. Is this a free speech platform or not? No, it's not. Nope, it's not. Not by a long shot. Fun Acceptable Views says parents are fighting to have these books books removed from schools due to their graphic nature, yet X will permanently suspend someone for saying these people are dangerous. Steve Dish Monkey is suspended for posting photos from books that are available in children's schools across Canada. So like, that's not great, right? So he says these people are a serious danger to children. And it's in response to the Rustad interview where Rustad says there's pornographic books in schools, and the idiot reporter says there's no pornographic books in schools, no pornographic books in SOGI, which is the gender ideology indoctrination nonsense of the right, or of the left, excuse me. And so somebody posts it and he gets totally removed. And I followed him, Monkey, right? I followed him. So ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous that this censorship still exists, and they're using it. They need it in order to win, because without it, they don't win. Why? Because when exposed, they obviously lose, right? Like when you look at what this person's posting, and this is what they're trying to protect, and this is what this guy's trying to say doesn't exist in schools, it blows his argument out of the water. He's wrong, and objectively wrong. And so got to suspend that. Need that censorship in order to maintain the false narrative. That's the point. Okay. Let's talk about elections, et cetera, et cetera. There's not really much new stuff from BC, except that Maricopa County, at the end of our election series, we're going to talk about Maricopa County. And one of the things that they use is they delay the results being released in order to cool people down, because they know that the results that they're going to release are going to make people upset. And so they want time in order for people to calm down before they piss them off again. And so that's what this whole, and they need time to reconcile how many votes they need, and then time to produce those votes, right? To produce those ballots and things like that for proof. And so like all of this is election interference. What we're watching in BC is an election undergoing theft. I don't think it's above board. I don't think they did a good job. I think using machine tabulators that are built by Dominion is a bad idea, considering what we know about Dominion. And there are a whole lot of really concerning issues with all of this. with our elections in Canada more broadly, advertising issues, mail-in ballot issues, foreigners voting issues, all sorts of stuff, right? And young people voting, being given voter cards. I'll show you that. So there's all sorts of issues with our votes. And nobody seems to be really interested in fixing any of it. In fact, if you point out that there are issues with our votes, you get called a conspiracy theorist, which is, super funny. Anyway, Maxime Bernier says, let's focus on what is crucially important for Canada's survival, not on a minor sideshow. We need a mass immigration election, not a carbon tax election. So everybody's got their preferred election. Justin Trudeau wants a corruption election or an India. Initially, he wanted foreign interference India edition, and they were going to make Pierre Poilievre hold the bag and say, you're influenced by foreign governments, namely India, and we've got the proof, right? And they were going to do that. And Pierre Poilievre wants to have the carbon tax election, and I've long been saying that sure, it impacts a lot of people, but there are other issues like the whole-scale invasion of the country that's happening right now, and people don't like that. And Poilievre does, though. Poilievre does seem to like that. So very interesting. And Bernier doesn't. He says we need a mass immigration election, right? We don't need a carbon tax election. We need a mass immigration election. I agree with Bernier, but are we going to get it? I don't think so. We'll see. The difference as well is that Mr. Poilievre has been going out and doing rallies, and he's got the conservative machine behind him, but he's branded this and he's built up that branding and he's worked that branding for months and months and months. And I started talking about it when he started testing slogans. They doubled down on their slogans. They used the slogans across the whole party. Everybody's using the slogans, bring it home, blah, blah, blah. These are easy ways to communicate. And like PPC doesn't seem to do that. There's not any kind of organization like that. There's not any kind of sloganizing that I've seen. I haven't seen any kind of videos coming out of PPC from like some back and forth, like interviews with Max, but like the CPC's game is on another level. When it was O'Toole, Scheer was better than O'Toole with the media. O'Toole didn't understand how to use it, and he didn't use it well. Scheer used video, but he used kind of outdated video. If he had gone with his gut and been funny about it, he might have earned more voters and things like that. But Poilievre hired people who knew how to build documentaries, and he's got them working with his entire caucus. So like, it's a different game entirely, and the PPC is not keeping up. I just have to point that out. I wish they would, right? Like, find your slogans, ram them down people's throats all the freaking time. Get everybody on board using the same slogans. It's an easy way to propagate your ideas. It's just, I don't know, maybe I'm missing it. I'm probably missing it. Son of a Bench says the Quebec Bloc leader Yves Francois Blanchette says he's been patient long enough with the October 29 deadline. Now is the time now it is up to the superstar Trudeau to decide how this government, which is being eaten from the inside out, will proceed. So Blanchette keeps threatening to drop the government, but he doesn't have the power to do that unless the NDP gets on board. So I guess he could like agree with the Conservatives to vote with the Conservatives to go into an election. We'll see though. I don't know. I don't think he holds the balance of power in the way he thinks he does. So here's Blanchette talking about this. It's a little disjointed, but here we go.
If 5 weeks have not been long enough at the end of the exercise, it's the proof in itself that we were quite open-minded and that any longer time would have been useless. And we had to keep open a window during which the government might actually fall. So we're not inflexible. We've been open enough. The motion is the example and the proof that this government has been unable to achieve whatever in the last few weeks and months. We are not responsible of the decision or for the decisions of the Conservatives, but we can not avoid noticing that there's nothing happening in this government. It is being eaten from inside and being attacked from outside, and nothing is happening. The whole story now is what will Justin Trudeau, superstar, do in the coming days. There's no management of the Canadian affairs, and that is a problem. We are apparently the only ones trying to do something useful for millions of people in Canada and Quebec.
I don't know about that. they're the only ones trying to do something. The only thing that I think most Canadians want is to be rid of Justin Trudeau, honestly. Suzanne says, Blanchette is right. Canadian affairs are being neglected. All focus is on the most incompetent and unethical government and the weakest prime minister. And so he says, we cannot avoid noticing that there's nothing happening in this government. Yeah, right. So there it is. Amazing. Or Alex Zoltan says, happening now, we've just begun question period, and House Speaker Fergus is already running interference for Justin Trudeau. So a caucus revolt is usually like a big deal and would be, I don't know, the business of the House, but the Speaker doesn't think so. Here's Poilievre getting told by the Speaker, no, this isn't relevant. Here we go.
The 40 Liberal members are noting what Canadians know already. This Prime Minister is simply not worth the cost, the crime, or the corruption. But those MPs are telling us that they need the Prime Minister's permission to speak at tomorrow's caucus meeting. So he will be able to muzzle them with regards to the doubling of our debt, of inflation, of housing costs and corruption. Will he allow freedom of expression for his MPs so that they can express themselves?
So the chair could not detect that this question has to do with the administration of government.
Right.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
So they can't tell what this would have to do with anything. Outside of the chamber, the Liberals, and I said, I don't think anybody cares what Justin Trudeau or his cabinet thinks. The whole point is everybody wants to be done with them. They're all done. Everybody kind of hates these guys, right? Here's Randy, or the other Randy, and 38 seconds of Liberals pledging allegiance, bending the knee to Justin Trudeau and saying that, oh yeah, we have full confidence in him. Right. Sure.
Unwavering support for the Prime Minister.
I unequivocally support this Prime Minister.
I know he's still the leader for the Liberal Party.
The entirety of the cabinet's behind him.
I support the Prime Minister. I'm heading into a cabinet meeting. He's the leader of the government. I'm part of that government.
We happen to be in a caucus where we're more open about those differences, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
He is leading us into the next election to lead Canadians, and I am proud to be by his side.
Obviously, we support him. I think the work that we're trying to do to help Canadians is really the main focus right now.
It was a thorough, comprehensive discussion about many policy issues that we have on the table to continue our hard work for Canadians.
Unwavering support for the Prime Minister.
None of these people are trustworthy. Not one of these people do I think, oh yeah, well good, at least they're on board. No, like all of the Mark Holland, Verini, Pascal Saint-Onge, Marcy Ian, right? Like Jeepers Creepers. This is the who's who of biggest bad guys. It's like Batman's enemies at this point in time. Like Jeepers Creepers, right? Anita and Ann, how's your husband doing, right? How about ka-ching, ka-ching and all the money that he makes from government contracts? That's a little bit inconvenient, right? And there's more. And so it just doesn't, I don't believe these people. And I don't think Canada believes these people. I think Canada wants to throw them out of the house, right? Like get out and don't come back, you traitors. Laurie Goldstein says, is Mark Miller okay? Immigration minister calls efforts to oust Trudeau garbage. Any minute spent on this garbage is a minute that's not spent on Pierre Poilievre. So they want to focus on how bad Pierre Poilievre is, except that they don't understand that most people hate them. Like, and I wish that people could see through Poilievre, or at least the Conservative Party. Maybe Poilievre did vote for C4 or C6, the one with the criminalizing gender. Basically, if you tell a kid that they might be straight and it might just be, you might be in a transition period and just like wait it out, that's illegal. But if you tell somebody, oh, you're born in the wrong body, you're definitely a girl, boy, or whatever the opposite to whatever your birth gender is, here's some puberty blockers, medication, and years of surgeries and then therapy, then you're a hero. That's not illegal, right? He signed that law. So, but then he had kids, right? So like, you would hope that that would open his eyes, but he did sign that law. So like somebody pointed that out to me. So, because I was talking about on the Kitchen Table Talk. Oh, somebody was asking about where the Kitchen Table Talk is. It's posted on Canada Poly now. Sorry that it wasn't posted. I was just busy. But I was talking about how I thought that Pierre Poilievre having kids may change, may soften him. It might still, but he did I didn't acknowledge that he posted or he voted for that bill. So it's a black mark on his record for sure. We'll see if he fixes it. Don't know. And I was saying that I think he's a legacy guy. I think he cares about his legacy. So fixing something like that might be in line with doing that, but who knows. Raw says the NDP are starting their scheme in Saskatchewan. There's an election going on in Saskatchewan. There's lots of provinces going on with elections right now. So Scott Moe is making his case. I haven't heard much about the Buffalo Party, Mark Friesen's Buffalo Party, but that's unfortunate. But I heard they were going to merge, and then the merger fell through because the one party that they were going to merge with had some demands, and Mark was like, well, I'd have to ask the party. And then they're like, it's off. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have any kind of insider information. I was just watching it on Twitter. So anyway, back to this. In Saskatchewan, CTV News is reporting nearly 500 Saskatchewan teens who are too young to vote received their voter cards by mistake. Oh yeah. Shucks darn. I'm sure it was a mistake, right? And also all of the temporary foreign students receive voter cards as well. Totally by accident. Shucks darn, right? And gunshots were fired at a Saskatchewan Party candidate's campaign office. Not so good. Not so good, because if somebody did that to a Liberal campaign office, and I'm not advocating for that, I'm just saying if it happened, or an NDP office, people would be blaming the Conservative or the PPC party. People would be blaming alt-right. People would be saying, oh my gosh, I'm not safe because the alt-right are threatening us, and so on and so forth. They use it for making political hay. And that's interesting to me, because the right doesn't seem to do that, right? Like if something like that happens, it's like you put up a plywood thing, you fix the hole, you get the window replaced, and you move on. So it's weird. It's a weird difference of temperament, I guess. Global news. Now, I showed you this a few days ago. They're using the same source that I've used. Global National is catching up to me. They say Mark Carty says he's taking steps for a possible electoral run. I mean, that's been in the cards for years now. This is not news. Gov.exe says Chrystia Freeland says playground insults don't bother her, and then proceeds to go into playground insults against the Conservatives. She said then labels Conservatives as mega or maple syrup megas, accusing them of not caring about Canadians and only showing up for photo ops. So here's Chrystia Freeland being a hypocrite, and like it's weird. So here we go.
Thank you for your remonstrations, but I have to tell you, speaking for myself, puerile playground insults from the maple syrup mega don't bother me.
That's Trudeau in the background having, somebody said, having a full-blown, what was it, orgasm or something to that effect. And like, if you listen, that's believable. There you go.
Mr. Speaker.
My goodness. I mean, that's a little bit much there, sir. Honestly, Jeepers Creepers. Here is Ben. He says, Ward 15. This is interesting. So Anthony Furey ran for mayor. He had support, but he was like third. So he wasn't like striking distance or anything like that. And now he's running for an open council seat. And a whole bunch of the left are trying to find a candidate who can unite the left and defeat Anthony Furey. And like, that's pretty wild. Like, that's very interesting. Ward 15 candidates Drav Jain and Evan Sambhavan have suspended their campaigns and endorsed Rachel C. Lynn. In a statement, Jain says, the only candidate who can beat Anthony Furey. Jain's and Sambhavan's names will still be on the ballot for the November by-election. However, I wrote in September about efforts by Kathleen Wynne and others to convince them to drop out before registration closed, which would have removed their names. So, right? Like, pretty funny. So now they're endorsing a single candidate, but their names are still going to be on the ballot. And Kathleen Wynne, honestly, people disliked her so much that 2 weeks before the election, she went on TV and said, I know that I'm going to lose the election, but please don't give Doug Ford a majority. Vote for Andrew Horwath. And people said, just be quiet. We're sick and tired of listening to you. And so we were. I'm sick and tired of listening to Doug Ford as well. Here's what's going on in Maricopa County. It's going to be 10 to 13 days to get election results. So they need 2 or 3 days to normalize the election and steal it. And then the other 2 weeks will be just about a feeling, right? How does the country feel today? We'll release this bad news that Trump lost, and we'll just see how that works out and see how we ride it out. So that'll be interesting. I don't know that people will just accept it, Andrew, but they accepted it when Biden won, right? But Trump didn't fight very hard, did he? I didn't think he fought very hard at all. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.